Holy popsicles. 6 years. 6 years since the first Zootopia movie released. We're getting old for this crap. See what I did there? Lethal Weapon reference? Anyway, but I didn't say the S word, so, you know, maybe kids are watching this too, so I don't drop those bombs that easy. If I play video game, that will be too easy. Anyway, today, this month is the anniversary of one of the best Disney movie of all time. Even though this movie came out, I'm not very hyped for this movie actually. First time it came out, I was like, another Disney movie. Like, magicals and fairy stuff, and I bet it's gonna be fantasy stuff, you know, like a Final Fantasy kind of cliche, like most movies do. But later I watched this movie in 2018, 2 years after it released. I was like, I should watch this back then in 2016. Wow. I messed that up. I messed by youth, Alright, let's dive into the review, since this is the perfect time to review this movie, since this is their 6th anniversary. And oh yeah, I got a cool new watch my mom bought to me for my birthday. But the only problem is, I can't take it off like Ben Tennyson from Ben 10. And there's some blinking light on the top. I don't know what it does. Maybe it's alarm or warning thing, you know, makes you want to remember what you forgot. And there's a lock on here in the bottom that I can't find the keys. Oh well, maybe it's nothing. So, Zootopia, directed by Brian Howard and Rich Moore, and co-directed by Jared Bush, which is their all-time best movie of all time. Reason is simple, because it has a good message, golden characters, and a great setup. And reason is, that's all. That's why this movie is so amazing. The plot is basically about a bunny named Judy Hopps, played by Jennifer Goodwin, who always trying to be a cop, and which is she does in the beginning of the movie, not at the end. It's not a spoiler. You probably saw that in the trailer. So she's in a case about finding out what's happening with the predators and why are they missing all of a sudden. Well, she teamed up with the best character in the entire movie. Nick Wilde is a fox, played by Jason Bateman. And I gotta say, as their first time we saw, not first time, there's also these two back then. But Fox and Bunny can be a good duo also. Yeah, those two are so great. Like, that's another reason everybody loved this movie, because their chemistry. But it's just their chemistry, but also the message. Well, messages about this movie is basically about race and respect. And this movie gives you a great message to the kids and most of the audience, and taught us that racism is not right. Exactly, that's what this movie is telling us about. That's why I love this movie, because of the message. I don't really care about Violet Hobbs' thing is a canon, should be canon, but I don't know. It's about the directors and producers. Well, and there's lots of great supporting characters, for example like Chief Buggle, played by Idris Elba. And my favorite characters must be Bonnie Hobbs and Stu Hobbs, played by Bonnie Hunt and Don Lake. I almost said Hobbs for a second. Yeah. Those two are probably my favorite characters in the entire movie. Best mom and dad ever. Even though I don't have a dad. I wish I had one. Even though I have one, but I don't want to talk about that part. And there's also G.K. Simmons playing the mayor of Zootopia, Mayor Lionheart. And also I find a very interesting fact here. Every character's last name include puns. Yeah, Nick Wilde, he's a wild because he's a fox. Judy Hopps, she's hopping because she's a bunny. And Chief Bugger because he's a... What's that animal species again? What do you mean you forgot? Okay, not a big deal. So, there's also Flash Slugmore, which is probably one of the most hilarious characters in the entire movie. They're probably mocking the superhero, the Flash. Well, if they're mocking the Flash, in Zootopia Plus, they should mock in the Justice League the Flash. Because that Flash deserves to be getting mocked. Anyway, his scenes are incredibly hilarious. Like, we all know the sloths are one of the laziest animals in the entire universe. They were all slow, but here, they're all talking slow. Remember in Rio 2, there's a sloth, but she's a female. It's a female. She's the fastest singer of all time. Also fastest talker. I think Sid was the sloth too in Ice Age movies. Ice Age trilogy I like to call it, because there's only 3 of them. There's only 3 of them, okay? There is no 4 and 5 or Buck spin-off, whatever. They should end right after 3. Like, lots of people accept Indiana Jones as a trilogy, then I expect Ice Age and Toy Story as a trilogy. There you go. So, what else does make this movie so great? Probably 2 franchise references, The Godfather and Breaking Bad. Even though I haven't seen Breaking Bad, I hope it's a good, I bet it's a good show. Even though lots of people call this show one of the best shows of all time. I had to see it for myself with my mom. I bet it's better than Game of Thrones, which is, I'm not a fan of it. And also, there's a lot of things discussed about this movie, like the original concept of this movie. First of all, it was meant to be darker. If you don't know, I can tell you. Even though there's some deleted parts of the movie based on that story, you know, Wild Times. What's this deleted concept about, first of all, Khan? I know you're gonna say that, so here it is. They were gonna include shock collars or tam collars, whatever they call, which is shock collars are basically made for the predators. They're also in real life, which is they also put it in their necks and basically it shock them before they do something wild. See what I did there? I made a pun too, but that's a harsh truth. I don't want to have fun with that. I'm never gonna have fun with real life. Real life is really dark sometimes. Anyway, so there's also a deleted scene in the movie, which is Nick and Judy investigating. They find out Coslow, which is Mr. Big's bodyguard, who has a son named Maurice. They're celebrating his birthday, all of a sudden, this happens. Like, that's just harsh. It's so depressing. I'm glad they didn't do this in the actual movie. Like, that would be too awful for kids. Like, excuse me for a moment. Okay, I'm good. And there's also cameos in this movie, which is I'd never expect that. Jared Bush, Brian Howard, Rich Moore makes in the cameos. Not only them, but Zach King makes in a cameo, which is one of the wolves, even though he made up one promotion advertisement short animation. And Josh Dallas, who makes in a cameo, which is a Jennifer Goodman's husband. And that's kind of interesting. I thought he was Nick Wilde, but nah, that's different. But as a Frantic Pig, I wish he has a larger role. Maybe in Zootopia Plus we actually seen it. Maybe. Anyway, and there's also Jenny Slate as Don Bellwether, another pun, which is the character which is kind of a sympathetic, but also with that Mayor Lionheart. But I'm not gonna spoil anything if you haven't seen this movie. I'm not gonna reveal which one of them is the bad guy. There's a one bad guy in the movie who behind all this, and I'm not gonna say who it is. If you wanna know, then watch the movie. I'm not gonna spoil it. You know, Disney used to do that about the twist villain reveal. They did that with Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph, right? That's his name. I forgot. You know, Wreck-It Ralph. Okay. And they used to do that all the time. And I think they did that first time with Toy Story 2. And then keep continuing afterwards. Anyway, even though I said it like billions of times on Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit, this movie needed a continuation, like a sequel. This movie really needed a sequel because because of Wild Hops become canon. I don't care about that. I just want to see more good messages this movie can give us. Like great messages and also great perfect note for kids. Probably all humanity, because all the animals at the end during the Judy Hopps speech looks more civil than humans. Well, I can say this, like one time Godzilla in 1954, Gojira, Dr. Serizawa one time says, we human beings are weak animals. And that's a harsh truth. Those two movies has a good messages, like, totally awesome. And of course, humanities are What was that? What the fuck? What's going on? Maybe I'm... I didn't say any bullshit. Wait a minute. That's not a watch. That's a tam collar. Shock collar, whatever you want to call. Wait a minute. My mom has a message. Son, if you reading this message, that means you can't curse anymore. It's called a hustle, sweetheart. That son of a fuck. What the hell?
Listen to me now.
But not that Flash. What are you doing here?
It's our spin-off show. Our spin-off
Oh, you still here? Sorry, I didn't get that. Wait, don't tell me. I think I get it. It's something in the key, but no.
Key.
That's it. I'm not gonna watch Zootopia again. I've been watching this movie for a long time. I think I'm gonna watch Lego movies instead, since it has a sequel and spin-offs, right? Let's watch those!